So what's the most immersive way of playing first-person shooters? Well, that's a pretty difficult question to answer since controllers tend to be great options for most people, but keyboard and mouse tend to be the superior combination. But what if you used something that resembles your weapon of choice, but with every button and control that you need for both your PC games and mobile games? Introducing the Arkade Blaster, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we continue, I just wanted to remind you that we have a Twitch channel where we stream every Friday and Saturday from 8 p.m. and to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so why not go ahead and drop a follow? And also don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and also make sure to check out the merch store. There's plenty of black and white sweetness to choose from up there, so go ahead and check that out. And then make sure to take a look at the podcast as well, as the podcast always goes live every Wednesday and Sunday. And with that said, enough rambling, let us get straight into the video. So just as a heads up, this was sent to me for review completely free of charge, but I will still offer my honest opinions on it throughout this video because otherwise it would kind of suck. But let's get straight into the unboxing. It comes in this box that does actually have the instructions all around it and what it's capable of. Open up the box and cut through all of these strings to finally get access to the blaster itself. Now let's get into it. The exterior design consists of plastic, but this device does have quite a bit of heft. In fact, it feels very good in hand and the shape is very good too. It honestly just looks really cool with the LED indicators and to display how much battery you've got left. The red for when it's reacting or when you turn it on, and the green for when it's actually charging. And this device also has a ton of buttons to compensate for it being more gun-shaped. On the left, you've got your usual set of buttons such as a thumbstick, which you can click, XYZ buttons right on that side as well, and a power button with striped buttons near the trigger and the trigger itself. On the right, there's going to be the logo, which lights up in blue, and the two halves represent two different functions. You've also got an additional 8 remappable buttons and a micro USB port, and the aesthetics here are very nice, but we will get into the game performance pretty soon. But let's talk about customization first. You would do all of it through the Arkade app on Android and iOS. Just pair your blaster to it, and it'll give you full access to mapping the buttons, turning on haptic feedback, adjusting the sensitivity, and much more than that. And if you're not sure where to start with this, they do have a bunch of presets for different types of games, both on mobile and on PC, though I will admit that I only saw the mobile library on the Android version of the Arkade app and not on the iOS version. I only saw the PC one. For example, there's going to be a Doom preset for PC and a PUBG preset for mobile, but they have about 40 per platform, I would say, with some of the most popular games, which is honestly pretty awesome. In my case, at least, I didn't need to make any manual changes since I actually plan on testing out Doom on PC and Into the Dead for iOS. And since this also supports gyro, I think we're going to have a pretty great time here, but let's see how it performs with mobile games first. So let's talk about mobile performance. I connected my blaster to the Arkade app and hooked it up to the phone clip. Then I chose Into the Dead for the preset and went straight into town. This being a pretty simple mobile game, you really don't need much, so I pretty much just ran around until I could find a weapon of sorts, and I used the trigger to either slice through my enemies or just shoot through incoming zombies. I also used the gyro for tilting left and right whenever needed, and in this game it actually worked quite well, but I did prefer using the thumbstick for this kind of thing just because the thumbstick did seem to be a little bit more responsive than the gyro in this case, but that was more so an isolated incident. Overall, I did have some fun with it, but I really want to know how well it performs with PC games, which require a lot more inputs than mobile ones. So let's get right into that. Now let's talk about desktop performance. I hooked this up to my PC by downloading the Arkade Link app to my PC and linking my phone to my PC over this app on that end. And then you're pretty much good to go from there. I played some Doom, and while I could certainly have customized the buttons better to suit my playstyle, I had a lot of fun with the default setting for Doom. The gyro made everything feel a lot more realistic, and having an actual trigger for shooting with haptic feedback. This honestly felt like playing a shooting game at an arcade, but it was at home and with much nicer graphics, which honestly just makes this a ton of fun for playing FPS games on PC. It was absolutely wonderful, especially for a filthy casual such as myself, and I will certainly be reaching for this every time that I play shooters. I don't see myself getting very competitive with this since I'm not good at shooting games, but I can have a ton of fun with this without a doubt. And when it comes to battery life, this is surprisingly good too, and I really liked it. So you can actually pretty much expect about 14 hours of battery life, which is quite awesome. You won't need to worry about the battery life on this gadget since it'll last you well over a regular play session. However, I do have some complaints. For one, USB-C would have been much nicer to see instead of micro USB. Plus, it is a much more reliable connector as well. And I do wish that the instructions on this were clearer too, since there's actually a lot of information outside of the box, but nothing on how you are supposed to pair this. And I thought that the logo was actually the pairing button here. But it turns out that you do have to have the app ready on your phone already, turn on the blaster, and then it'll actually recognize it. However, if your blaster was turned on by the time that you get your app ready, you're going to have to restart it because it's not going to detect it at all. And that was just kind of annoying. It would have been pretty nice to know that ahead of time. So the setup process is not the simplest and the cleanest one, but once you do get in there, it is a lot easier to deal with. And that's really it. Honestly, I had a wonderful time with this gadget, and I do love that it works so well on PC. I'm not very good at first-person shooters by any means, but this gadget made a lot more fun to play for someone that doesn't usually play this style of games. Mobile performance was also good, but you can get way more out of this gadget if you play on PC, because you can play much more graphically intensive games that will contribute to that immersion we all seek. I can strongly, and I really do mean strongly, recommend this because it really is that cool. And if you're interested in purchasing this product, then I'll be making sure to leave links down in the description. These are not going to be affiliate links since this is going to be directly to the arcade store. I could not find it on Amazon for some reason. But with that said, I do highly recommend that you go and check that out. And also do make sure to subscribe for the Tech Summit podcast, as it does go live twice a week. And don't forget that I like to stream on Twitch every Friday and Saturday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. But there's also other social media around the corner, like there's also a Discord for you to follow with. That's going to be down below, as well as links to my Twitter and my Instagram if you're into that. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.